Hey, and welcome to another edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. It's 7 p.m. It's the first Rabbit. And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, that's just incentive for you to go back in the archives and find some of our old episodes. How you doing, Neil?
Good until you said that.
Rabbit, buddy. Rabbit. You can
That's
blame
right.
your wife and the internet. We have a mediocre show for you today. See, so many people are striving for greatness. We're just trying to tee up something that's not terrible.
That's right.
But we got a few stories. One that we've accidentally been following, I think, recently, and we'll lead off with that. Neil, tell us about the great state of Florida.
That's right. Another Florida man story. Same Florida man as last week, actually. But yeah, so in predictable fashion, the tech industry is not super happy with Florida right now, just like we said they weren't going to be last week. So two tech industry organizations, NetChoice and CCIA, basically.
Yeah, they really represent some pretty small companies, right? Like some companies that you've probably never heard of before. So you have like Amazon, Google, Intel, Samsung, Facebook. So some companies that you may have heard of. Neil, I appreciate that you're doing your best impression of a guy disappearing, and he wins. So yeah, just as we had predicted, sure enough, like they're filing suit because it turns out like they're really dictating what a private company can do, what they can't do, and so on. Oh, look who's back. If it isn't our favorite, Mr. Neil Tardy. Welcome back to our show, sir. Neil's experiencing what we like to call interweb issues.
Yes.
That's not technical at all. So yeah, I was just counting through the companies that are represented by this. This is huge. These are not people with shallow pockets. Okay, fine. I didn't like you anyway, Neil. But yeah, I think this is a pretty big deal. Not surprising at all. It's barely newsworthy, except I would file this under. I can't believe you thought this was going to work or be a thing. So just another kind of honestly a clueless kind of moment from the legislature there, and specifically Ron DeSantis. But I don't think we'll have to worry about this too much. But I do think this helps actually codify it, like our kind of like the private company and like kind of technical beliefs, I guess, around this, and solidify a lot of that in law. So maybe we should be saying thank you. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I'll say it anyway. Thank you. Yeah. In other news, I like to pick on people a lot when I'm like, bro, like you're taking forever to respond. What are you on 3G? And we kind of do like a maniacal. Yeah. That's more of like the preppy laugh, isn't it? But interestingly enough, 3G is coming to an end. It was bound to happen eventually. They ditched the Edge network, actually just not too long ago. But this story, also from The Verge, really dealing with what's going to happen, right? Like with people on 4G, you have LTE, you have a lot of these like technologies that are like better, faster, kind of thinner protocols that are really good signaling and allow them to get more throughput per tower. And obviously 5G is on its way to control your brain. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But 5G is on its way to, a more massive rollout. Probably not as massive as some companies would have you believe, or as fast of a rollout, but we're getting there, right? So yeah, it's interesting. Like, so this is good for those of us that maybe put off upgrades. I tend to be kind of an Apple fanboy, so I tend to upgrade my iPhone every year. I didn't this year though, so this is a big moment. But if you haven't really kept up with the technology, but kind of behind your phones, and you have one from several years ago, it's possible that if it's not 4G or LTE compatible, that it's going away, right? So just something to be aware of. Now you have until the end of next year before they say they're going to be shutting down the network. Now the reality is, phone carriers will often say, here is a date and here's when this is going to happen. But then as it approaches, usually within like the 3-month period leading up to it, something happens, right? Some consumer group or something will like kick off, or like a major enterprise of some sort that relies on 3G will be like, hey, wait, we thought you were kidding. And that date will get pushed back. So if you'll remember, same thing happened like when they did away with like traditional over-the-air antenna, like non-HD kind of broadcasts and things like that. And there was like the big scare about rabbit ears and like, oh no, like you're never going to be nothing. It took forever, right? And then they ended up giving away boxes and stuff like converter boxes and things so that you could actually get rebates for and things. It was kind of fascinating, but I think this is really no different. So don't be surprised if that date kind of comes and goes, but it's definitely something to keep your mind on. Again, we've got family who is on flip phones. That does not mean that it will stop working. So that's important to remember, right? So just because you're on a flip phone or a technology that's maybe aesthetically seems like an old tech does not necessarily mean that it's not going to work, right? So if you're not sure, get a hold of your carrier, pop by one of their stores if that's more your game, and just ask them, like, hey, this is something that's on my mind. Do I need to upgrade? And I'm sure they would be more than happy to help you upgrade. So our third and final story. Once again, little blast from the past, right? So we keep talking about this whole advent of the whole SolarWinds hack, right? And here we are again, where it looks like a sophisticated Russian email attack, specifically targeting some government agencies, is going on. There's a lot of questions around. Is the United States going to confront them, right? Is this going to be a thing? Oh, hey, Neil, look at you, buddy.
Oh, hey there. Turn it off and turn it back on.
Look at you. You're like hopscotch, double dutching back in and out. But yeah, just talking about how crazy this is. And I think it's wild. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see if the U.S. puts pressure on them or comes back to Russia and goes, dude, what's going on? Like, this is a state-sponsored attack. At least if again, if you believe kind of the news and stuff like that, and I do, then I think it's really kind of fascinating. And but it's like, man, we just kind of keep having this same conversation, I feel like, about the whole SolarWinds and about like, the systems being like way behind on patching, just really shoddy kind of like security operations and things like that. And here we are. I mean, you think about it, it says, 3,000 email accounts, Neil, but and you think, what? That's not a lot, but it's enough, right? So, I mean, we're really talking like this was a focused attack, right?
Yeah. And I think what you're saying is really true. Like, that is totally enough. It only takes one. And then they have access to your network, right? So, yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. The U.S. has already called out Russia, particularly on the SolarWinds piece, to say like, hey, like, we're like 100% sure this is you. So like, what's up here? And Putin's like, I don't know.
He pulls the old Shaggy, it wasn't me. But it's like, we got you on camera, bro. Like, it's kind of,
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is super targeted to specific organizations and agencies. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It seems like it's a bit of social engineering as well, because it is one of the ways that they gained access was through an email coming supposedly from President Trump saying election is rigged, basically, and people are clicking on a link in there. Which, I mean, that probably doesn't seem out of the ordinary coming from him. But again, like, why are we clicking links and not like checking ourselves here? It's just like simple cybersecurity things that it's just like, come on, like, why are we not doing this?
Yeah, I think it really underscores to your point. It just takes one, right? And it's fascinating in a very negative and sad way, right? Like it's because you're always vulnerable to the weakest link. And that's not to call out any individual or, there's human nature in it. I mean, but that's what sucks. It's like, because you can process and you can engineer and but there's not oftentimes, right? There's not a software solution to the human problem when it comes to security, I guess.
Yeah. But I found what interesting about this as well is that it was Microsoft telling these agencies like, hey, this is a thing, instead of the agencies being like, hey, we got hacked.
What was I was seeing over 150 organizations.
Right. I mean, maybe they're trying to keep it hush hush, but it was very comical to me that like Microsoft is the one saying like, hey, y'all got hacked.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, right?
Yeah,
but
it is rather wild.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. We continue to see this kind of thing, and we'll see another, and probably by the next week, when we talk again, there will be something else. Yeah, so just some recurring themes on this week's edition, and I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, well, sorry everybody that I kept hopscotching in and out, as Matt liked to say, but internet will be internet. But thank you for joining, mostly Matt, on this edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. If you want to read up on anything that Matt and I kind of talked about, you can find it in the description below. And while you're there, go ahead and give the video a like and follow us. That way you don't miss any future editions of Tech Talk Tuesday. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can always come see Matt's lovable and creepy face. If you want your question answered live on the show, hit us up on Twitter. Matt's Twitter handle is @TheMattRay, because like I keep telling you guys, he is so unique that there's only one of them. And mine is @NeilTardy, because I am sure there's probably another Neil Tardy somewhere. But we would love to answer your questions. Hit us up on Twitter. You can also hit us up wherever you see this. Hit us up with a comment, and we would love to answer your question. But with that, we'll see you next Tuesday.